Queen.
Now, it was at this stage because he couldn't find any work in the UK that he made an announcement to you that he might go and work for the Russians.
Yes, that's true. This came actually from Venice initially,
Yeah.
where Lieutenant Walk, the trainer of the Gruppa Gamma Frogmen, had said that when we were speaking in Venice one evening over wine, that he didn't know what he was going to do with himself now the war is over, but he had had an offer from Russia to go and work in Russia training Russian frogmen.
Yeah.
But he was keen on taking up. And he said to both to me and to Crabb, not realising that I had a number of years still to do with the Navy, that now the war is over, you two can come to Russia with me and help to train the Russian frogmen, because you are very experienced.
Yeah.
And this is what alerted Crabby to the fact that he was a diver-holic. He had to dive. And the idea that he could go and carry on diving all the time up in Russia. And he said, we will go, won't we, Knowles? I said, you'll come with me? And I said, no, sir, I don't think so. Because when we were up on in the Forth, excuse me, my eyes are full of tears.
It's okay.
When we were up in the Forth at Lochinvar, the Frogman School, one day a battleship came up the Forth and anchored, and she was called the Royal Sovereign, which the Navy called the Tiddly Quid.
A tiddly quid.
Yeah, the Royal Sovereign, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd lent her to Russia at the beginning of the war, and although she'd never been in action, she'd now been returned to us. We were sent, the crew, the skeleton crew had brought her over, then moved into a destroyer alongside her, a Russian destroyer, and back to Russia. And we were instructed to search every inch of it underneath for chance there was any explosives, because we weren't too happy with the Russians at that time, and it would have blocked the channel if she'd have sunk there. We cleared her, nothing at all. Then we went inboard, and to our disgust, we found that the Russian sailors had, for some reason or other, I don't know why, they'd shit, literally shit, on all the mess deck tables and all the corridors inside.
Really?
Yep, and it stunk like the very hell. And we said, well, we can't work in here. And I don't know the hell cleared it later, but it was later broken up anyway. And I thought, go to Russia and work amongst men like this, that they do this trick. And that's what stopped me going to Russia, saying yes.
That's the reason, because of what they'd done to that
A
ship.
very firm reason, yes. That kind of thought, well, living amongst people that thank you in this way, because by God, it was an insult to a lot of my shipmates. Not on my ship, but shipmates nevertheless, who went to Russia, up to Murmansk, and were killed on that terrible run up to there. And then they do this trick. So, no.
Now, was Commander Crabb with you when you saw all that inside the ship?
No, he didn't know about this. He was away at the time.
Do you think that would have changed his mind if he had have seen that?
Possibly. I never told him of this, by the way. I wish I had it on him. I had to change a lot of things, but there you go.
It's always the way. There's always something you can think of that you wish you'd have said or you wish you hadn't have said, which could change the course of your future. So he didn't know about this disgraceful scene inside this ship? No. Okay. Let me ask you one more question about this knife, Sydney. Has this, in your opinion, ever saved your life? Have you actually used this to save your life?
A number of times. A number of times.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about fighting underwater or slashing at something to kill.
No.
There have been times when I've been underneath ships, searching them, especially in Gibraltar. Oh, and one other in Livorno. But especially in Gibraltar, where the Italian frogmen were putting limpet mines on the sides of the ships and flotation collar mines underneath the ships. And one evening I heard as I swam along the Billspiel, I heard tick, 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 coming from up forward.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you're aware or not, but sounds on the water carry about 5 times louder and further than in the normal air.
Uh-huh.
And has it saved my life? Yes, it has. Because I was swimming I started going towards it, and the sound was getting noisier and noisier, tick, tick, tick. And I was in the gloom, and I had no idea what type of mine it was or anything. And then I realised it was a flotation collar. And the only one thing to do to get rid of it is to stab it. Stab the collar and let the mine sink down below.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it was out, knife, bang it in, but on the way to it, I'm shouting to it. My breathing things in my mouth, and I'm shouting, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. And I'm swimming like crazy, because the moment it stopped, my life stopped.
Yeah.
Yes, I've used that a few times.
Yeah. Were you scared at the time?
Scared out of my skin. Scared out of my skin, yes.
To the point that you had to shout, you were shouting, don't stop ticking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Incredible. But it still fascinates me how you got away with all those mines.
Yeah. Fascinates me too.
Bloody hundreds. How many do you reckon you removed?
Oh, don't ask me. Ask me the amount of dives we did to find these mines. That's more like it.
Yeah.
That was in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And you're very fortunate if you could go months and months and months and never find a mine.
Uh-huh.
Then one day, maybe 2 mines would be found.
Yeah.
Or in between us searching, a ship, an explosion would be heard and the ship would go up.
Mm. So there's one that you haven't found that's
That's right.
gone off.
There was one occasion when we were diving under a tanker, a large oil tanker, and I dived previously, and I was in the launch, laying alongside with Commander Crabb and Chief Petty Officer Thorpe. When Rattler Morgan had gone down the port side, and Taft Thomas on the right-hand side. Taft Thomas had come up and signalled the door was clear. Then Rattler Morgan came up, and he's holding this mine in his hands like this. And Commander Crabb shouted, "Crazy, dump it, dump it." He said, "It's not ticking, sir." He said, "Well, dump it just the same." So we were all thinking, you know, if this goes off in the air, there'll be shrapnel everywhere.
Yeah.
And Rattler would have died.
Yeah. When you'd the war was over, you'd come back to England after doing a little bit of time in Canada, diving for quite good money. You were now working this contract of yours, bringing newsprint paper from a mill up north down to London. You were in touch with Commander Crabb again, and you remained friends, obviously. But apparently you were invited to certain parties in London. What were they about?
Well, this started because how I got involved in this was the fact that, like you said, I was coming down Redland in my wagon, and one day Commander Crabb asked me, "Would you like to take part in the writing of a book?" He said, "I have a friend called Marshall Pugh who is writing a book on our lives during the war. Mm-hmm. And would you like to assist?" He said, "Because not only you, but Chief Petty Officer Thorpe, who's now left the Navy also, said he would get involved with his memory to help write the book." It was a book called Commander Crabb. Mm-hmm. And just after the war it was published. So a number of times when I came down to visit Commander Crabb, we would go and see Marshall Pugh in his home and sit and reminisce, as we are doing now, about what occurred during the war. Mm-hmm. And one evening he said, "We can't stay too long tonight, Knowles. I've got to go out on business. I'm going out to a dinner with Marshall Pugh." And I said, "That's all right, sir." He said, "It's been a quick invitation, and we must go." And then the phone rang, and Pugh, after answering it, came in and said, "Crabby, I cannot go. I can't go. I've got some business on. We'll go another day." But he said, "But take Knowles with you. Would you like to go out to dinner, Knowles?" I said, "Yes, sir." He would. He ordered a taxi to take him to Chelsea, but he wanted him to call at the Courtauld Institute, which somewhere in London, I didn't know where. Where waiting at the door to be picked up was a gentleman. I was introduced as Anthony Blunt, who Crabb seemed to know very well indeed. They seemed good buddies. He said, and who was coming along to the party in Tite Street in Chelsea, to where I went maybe half a dozen or 8 times eventually with these various parties. But I was shocked and surprised when I found that there was a tremendous amount of maybe 20 or more homosexuals, young men who were blatantly talking about Russia and Uncle Joe. And it sounded to me and looked like a communist cell. I said to Commander Crabb, what is this? He said, it's quite all right, Knowles, don't worry, he's a friend of mine, there's no problem. He said he's going to help us out. I said, oh, and left it at that.
What do you think he meant by help you out?
I don't know about that day. I didn't know it. I asked Commander Crabb, what is this place? He said, they're just friends. And I said, but he said, you're getting lots of free drink. What are you wondering about those? And I said, yes, I actually did enjoy the booze, but the conversation was way above my head. A lot of intellectuals, but very homosexual.
But the level of conversation, did you feel out of depth, or?
Completely out of depth. That's what I said to Commander Crabb. I said the conversation went right over my head. Bits I did grasp, obviously, when they were talking about the Russians, who they...
So the conversation was political?
Very pro-Russian. And I said to Commander Crabb, what are these people? He says, well, you've heard them. They're like Uncle Joe. We all loved Uncle Joe during the war, didn't we? Look what they did for us Russians. So that was the kind of conversation that's carried out. Marshal Pugh was invited again, and this time all the 3 of us went along. And altogether I went half a dozen times. But he got so blatant pro-Russian that I thought something was going to happen, and I was very, very disappointed with Commander Crabb's attitude. And I thought, he's going to go to Russia. I don't like this. And I tackled him about it. And he simply said to me that, Knowles, one can be a patriot and a communist. And that did it. I thought, this has gone too far. I think he's going to join the Russian Navy now.
Did he have communist beliefs, you think? Or do you think he'd been indoctrinated by the others?
Indoctrinated, I feel. Yes, I do. I think he was indoctrinated.
Since he'd met this Blunt character and the others?
I think he'd known Blunt for some years, frankly. For quite a number of years, the way we used to hear them speaking together. When he said, do you remember such a long and such a long? I said, it was obvious that they knew each other for some good time. And and I said, sorry, you're not going to go to Russia. Now he repeated that. I told you once that one can be a communist and a patriot. So I made my mind up with much feeling to report this to the government. And I literally wrote a letter addressed to MI5.
So after you realised from attending these parties that Commander Crabb has now got some pro-Russian feelings about him, and possibly a little bit of communism as well, because of your loyalty to your country, you've decided to contact the government to tell them this. And I believe you were in return contacted by Colonel Alistair Malcolm.
Yes, that is correct. A Scotsman, very gentle Scots person.
Yeah.
Educated voice, grey-haired, slightly built.
So what happened then?
He said, tell me what you know, old chap. And that's how he spoke, with a really educated Scottish voice. Don't worry, old chap. We know what's going on. We have someone else in there. We have someone in there. We know exactly what is going on. But please, continue if you possibly can, attending these parties. And if anything you think we may not know about, please inform us.
So he obviously trusted you then?
Yeah. We had to do. I was tipping him off. And I was hurting inside. I was really hurting inside because the man who I loved, I was putting him away kind of thing.
But it must have been a relief.
I was being a traitor to him.
You were being a traitor, but it must have been a relief for you to have found out that they already knew about
Indeed.
the parties and what was going on.
Yes, indeed.
But at the same time, as I said, they trusted you because, don't forget, the man that they also had planted in these parties would have no doubt reported back to his superiors about you being there.
Yes, that is so.
Yeah?
That is so.
And he would have known that you didn't have the same feelings as the others.
True, that is true.
So really you were in the clear there from the government's point of view.
Yeah.
What happened next?
We continued visiting these parties. And I always used to say, "Did you enjoy the party in Knowles?" And we're going back by taxi. "Did you enjoy the party tonight in Knowles?" At the, what we called the Last Suppers.
Yeah.
Because there was a long table at the end of the room, enough for about 12 people, 14 people to sit around.
Uh-huh.
And they're referred to by the people there as the Last Suppers.
Uh-huh.
The boys referred to it as the Last Supper. And Blunt used to sit at the head of the table and be virtually worshipped by the young men.
Really?
Yes. And they referred to him as a Queen Mother.
Oh, really?
Yes, they referred to the Queen Mother. And it was only later that I found out that they weren't referring to his status there, being homosexual, etc. But to the fact that he was the keeper of the Queen Mother's pictures.
But on your taxi ride back from the party when Commander Crabb is saying to you, did you enjoy yourself? How did you feel uneasy? Did you not sort of want to...
No, because I was tightening up then. I said, "Very good, sir, but I'm damned if I can still understand what they're all talking about. It's all going over my head."
Yeah.
They just left it at that.
Yeah. Because you've got such a love for this man, and now you're concerned about his involvement with these Last Supper parties, did you not ever feel that you should just let go and really have a go at him and say, "What the heck are you doing?"
I did.
On more than one occasion?
Oh, more than one occasion. But the point was, I said, "You're asking me again to go to Russia with you, sir. I cannot go." Because of what occurred on the Tiddly Quid.
Yeah.
When dirty Russian shit.
Did you then tell him about that?
Yes, I did.
And what was his reaction?
Nothing, frankly. Nothing at all.
Didn't make any difference to him whatsoever?
It didn't. He brushed it off as being nothing. And I could see I was getting nowhere with this. He still insisted that I go with him to Russia. And I insisted then that this was the end of it. And I was going to report him. But after I reported him, I was boiling inside because I thought maybe MI5 and 6 had set him up to be, you know what I mean, a double spy.
Double agent.
A double agent, yeah.
So after your conversations with Colonel Alistair Malcolm from MI5, you've now been approached yet again by Commander Crabb to do another investigative dive under another Russian ship. This was apparently the sister ship to the Sverdlov?
Yes, that was the original Kitsy, the sister ship to the Sverdlov. That we'd examined only 6 months before.
So it was only 6 months after the original?
Yes, so I saw no sense at all in diving and putting my life at risk for nothing, actually. So I said, no, I did not want to go. Plus the fact I said, my wife is ill and I don't leave her for any time at all. And thinking that excuse would be good enough. Although he did ask me again and again to go with him.
Why do you think he was so insistent on you coming with him?
Because of the success we had with the Sverdlov.
Yeah.
And we'd been diving. He knew every movement of diving. Even me and I knew exactly what he'd do underwater. We knew instinctively, like twins.
Yeah.
what would occur underwater in any situation, any crisis. We didn't want to handle it. And that was the reason.
So you still didn't want to go?
No, because the reason was that, obviously, Colonel Alistair Malcolm had told me what was going on, and I didn't want to disclose to Commander Crabb that I had shot him, as I might even say. And no, that was the reason. That why should we do this, and why should I risk myself when I knew exactly what was going on?
Do you feel that your relationship with Commander Crabb had changed considerably in this time?
I'm sorry to say yes, although I don't want to say yes. I want to feel that, I know it sounds crazy, but if he's listening, you know what I mean. If he's listening, I'm sorry, sir.
Did you feel a bit distant from him now? Yeah. He's found his diving buddy. You know roughly what he is, but you don't know who he is. But because you're still worried about this operation under the sister ship to the Sverdlov, you go and see Colonel Alistair Malcolm again, and you have a conversation with him where he says...
I recall this.
You recall this conversation. He says to you, don't worry, we have everything under control. We won't let him get away from us.
And I thought immediately, I was delighted. I was really delighted. I thought, oh good, they're going to stop it. Good. And that's all past my mind, that the operation was not good. They're going to stop it and everything's going to be all right, and I can get back into life and feel good about it. They didn't say that, but actually what they said, we're going to stop him. Stop him.
Not stop the operation, but
No.
stop him from going to
Stop
Russia.
him. That's all I was worried about.
Yeah.
Not the operation. They said they were going to stop him. And I grasped at that moment that everything was going to be all right. And I was delighted. And it was like a great pressure coming off of my back. I eventually found out that his buddy diver was SBS Marine. And the Marine that is known as, he was an officer Marine and an SC-1. I didn't know what that was until I looked it up, and I believe he was a canoeist as well, a Marine canoeist that were used extensively during the war up north. Would not tell me his name, but he was very, very satisfied with him. And I hope to hell that he was. I didn't know whether this Marine was working in the same capacity as Commander Crabb, as a help to him or a hinder to him.
Obviously the operation went ahead and they dived under the ship.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until something like 10 days later that you heard some bad news, didn't you?
Yes, I heard that it came on the news actually. I just returned from London and I hadn't called to Hand Road. And I heard on the news that the famous Commander Crabb had died on an exercise that had not come up at Stokes Bay, 3 miles from Portsmouth. Well, I knew immediately that this was a cover story. It had to be, because I knew what was going on.
Now the BBC wanted you to make comment on this, didn't they? Did they contact you or did you contact them?
No, they contacted me. They wanted to take me to a studio, and I don't know where, frankly, but I was going to be picked up and taken to a studio. But only a few hours, 2 hours I think, that was all, before the decided interview, a D notice was slapped on me.
And what is a D
The
notice?
D notice is you cannot disclose anything that's to do with the government.
Hmm.
That's briefly.
Is that something that's delivered to your door, or did somebody telephone you about this?
No, I was informed. I was informed by the BBC that we've had a D notice slapped on us, and therefore it's waste of time heading for the studio.
This made you feel a bit angry, didn't it? Because reading your story, it says that you fought for a country that's now not letting you speak your mind.
Speak my mind. That is true. I'd gone through years and years of danger for my country, for my king and queen and country, and it came to the point now where I couldn't even speak about what was going on around me. This was what I thought, gosh, I am in Russia. But after me stating previously about two bodies, one that was not Commander Crabb, but they wanted me to state it was, and the other one that I'm positive was Commander Crabb. I think the very first one that was in a naval suit was this Marine. And I think the other one, where he was in a two-piece suit, was Commander Crabb. I think possibly the Marine had been instructed to stop him or to kill him. And Commander Crabb was like an eel underwater. No one could say that they could easily kill him. And frankly, I think they killed each other. I do. I think they killed each other. And that's the result of the two bodies. That very few people knew there were two bodies.
Yeah.
And they seemed to do nothing about it when they found out. The Daily Mirror sent a guy on the car for me. They actually drove directly to Hans Road. And they said, have you got a key?
Oh, really? They wanted to get into his flat?
Yeah, exactly. Have you got a key? And I said, no. Well, of course I didn't. I wanted to say no. I couldn't have helped them. Well, we're going on to Portsmouth. Are you prepared to dive? Oh, they asked me if I'd dive.